I believe the evening is dedicated to Stephen Gaskin, who is a man of great insight, great talent as a speaker and a writer, and gas to hang out with. I am back in Sonoma County since 1992 and practicing the piano, as I started out to do years ago, but was interrupted by the same movement that rolled over Bill. I mean, the idea of intentional community in the 60s was very much on the order of the day, and one sprang up at Morning Star Ranch around me, or around on the place, not around me.
I thought it was unintentional, Lou.
But that was more or less unintentional. But we try to classify it under a fairly traditional rubric. And I think some important sociological discoveries were made there, along with a great many other things that were discovered in the 60s in the arts and in the sciences. And I hope someday to talk to Jerry about them. Maybe there's an idea of what to do. I mean, it seems like we have a lot of social critics that can certainly point out the negative aspects of our society today, but there's very little real positive suggestions as to what should be done now, other than, you know, think globally, act locally, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it's a good phrase, but it's got to be taken one step further.
It doesn't grab you. And ultimately it doesn't give you anything to do.
Right.
And it doesn't come from any real tradition. But I think there was something discovered in Morning Star Ranch that can be applied sanely to the betterment of society. No joke. And we'll talk about it some other time.
Right. Now, is Morning Star still, I mean, what's
the land is still there, and I practice the piano on it, and I don't want anybody else there because I don't want anybody to hear my playing yet.
Well, you're probably being more modest than what you
it's
should
the
be.
impossible dream.
That's your background, isn't it? Music.
No, I've always made a living as a musician, but the impossible dream is to make a living playing piano in concert, solo piano in concert, like Alfred Brendel, Maurizio Pollini, and what's his name, Pogorelich, all these guys, you know what I mean?
All right.
God made too many great pianists in my generation. Now a lot of them are dead, and it's as if he is saying, okay, Lou, get in there.
The torch,
yeah. It's the impossible dream, but it's fun.
Great. Well, when you get ready to put on your first recital, maybe you'll invite 510 TV to come down.
Oh, for sure.
Tape it.
Yeah, I thought I'd play for Dennis Perron's group first. That's a sympathetic audience.
No, we got a good band tonight.
I heard it, yeah.
Arts, yeah.
Sounds good. Do you want me to do the rap and lay down what I think has been revealed in Morning Star Ranch?
Absolutely.
If you read chapter 19 of Deuteronomy, it's all dedicated to one thing, the establishment of 6 cities of refuge. If you read the Sharia, which is to the Quran, the same as the Talmud is to the Torah, you can read a definition of what they call waqf, which means divine ownership of immovable property. This is the religious base. The sociological base is the discovery that was made at Morning Star Ranch, which is how you find the right personnel to build a tribe. One of the big problems of intentional community historically has been who stays and who's got to go. A tribe is a social organization that stands between the dysfunctional government, the dysfunctional family, and the oppressive government. Cults, street gangs, those are bad substitutes for tribes. So what I'm suggesting is, since the Bureau of Land Management in the state of California owns or controls or administers over 16 million acres of land, that the voters of the state of California be convinced that it would be a good idea to take a mere 640 of those acres and divide them up into 8 parcels, perhaps stretched out like a morning star all around the state, and deed that land to God. So we have divine ownership of immovable property protected by the First Amendment because it is an exercise of religion. Now, what these places would be what you would call controlled and quarantined experiments in anarchy. There would be no written rules. No one could be told to leave. Needless to say, when you talk to a lawyer about this, the question of jurisdiction immediately enters. Whose laws do we follow? But this is controlled, statute-free society. Now, it is my hunch that many of the people who are now considered homeless are the detritus which emerges from the transition that we are undergoing from an industrial to an information society. These are people who are allergic to the status quo. I venture to say that if these places, there needn't be any publicity about it. I mean, just get an old piece of cardboard and say, these 80 acres belongs to God. We would find emerging on these places a kind of tribal organization. There's plenty of communitarians experienced walking around who could be used as consultants as far as housing, organic gardening, choral singing, and other vital activities could be done. And I think it would be something that would challenge the youth in participation. They would be supported just like the monasteries in the Middle Ages were, by churches and other people. And it'd be a whole lot cheaper than what's happening today in an attempt to handle the homeless, as the ex-mayor of San Francisco with a preposterous clean the streets thing that he had.
Right, the Matrix.
Yeah, that was a dumb thing, and it solved nothing.
No.
But anyway, I think this would be an inexpensive thing to try. By the way, I'm not there.
Right.
It's not for me. I get along okay in this society, but there are people who cannot function under this society, see? And I think it'd be worth trying.
It seems like a growing rank of people that are
allergic to the status quo.
Right.
Too many rules,
Yeah.
you know. But there would be a question where nobody has to get any shots, nobody has to get their locker, nobody has to fill out any forms. I mean, all of that is abandoned, you see? And if anyone feels uncomfortable, no one can be told to leave. If you don't like it there, go to one of the other 7 places and see if you find your tribe there. What I'm saying is the tribe is built by the coordinates on the Earth's surface. It is that which attracts the people to their place.
Right.
It's worth trying. I'm telling you, I don't see anything else that makes sense to me. This is a little far out.
Do you see it being documented?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing that terrifies straight life is the idea of free rent. Because we're not talking now about the capitalist class. We're talking about the guy that's renting the back room on the top of his garage, you see what I mean? But free rent is what this is all about, see? Because the idea that this earth, which is the habitat of us all, has been cut up into pieces where one person, by virtue of filing a title in the Hall of Records, can charge other people to stay on this portion of Mother Earth's sweet flowing breast. That's an obscenity. Really, it is an obscenity. And hey, I'd love to see it tried.
All right. There you have it, folks. We're gonna, that's a large mouthful and very insightful. Thanks for talking with us, guys. It's been a real pleasure.